Hey, how's it going? Mike here, back again with the Usagi Yojimbo podcast, a podcast that is all about Usagi Yojimbo, and we got a good one today. We're looking at Blade of the Gods. I believe this is issue 10 within the Usagi Yojimbo Origins, but this one's a good one. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening. And we're almost done with volume 2 of Usagi Yojimbo Origins. Then we're going to move on to the Dragon Blood Conspiracy after the next two episodes, I believe. But we're starting off in this episode. We see these men running through. They look like guards almost for like a master or a magistrate or a lord, even. They're running through this field. They're looking for this person who has killed their master. They're looking to basically honor their they're looking to get the honor back for their disgraced master. It is at stake, apparently, according to these men who are looking for a mysterious being person. Who knows what exactly they're looking for, to be exact. And they're like, "Oh, we see him. We see this man off in the distance, and we get this shrouded figure, and they're like, turn and face us and fight." And he's like, "What do you want, to be exact?" And as we get this guy, he's like, he looks. I want to say he's a wolf, maybe a cat. I think he's more of like a wolf. He looks kind of like a wolf, and they're kind of shocked and taken back and like, "Oh, those eyes and his voice, it sounds like it's from the grave." And they're kind of getting a little frightened. Some of these men are, and one of them stands up and he's like, "You murdered our master, you demon." And this guy, who we will call Jay, uh Jay says, "A demon." And yeah, he's like, "Yeah, your deeds will not go undone. We have witnesses." And he's like, "Why should I deny what I did?" Jay says. "Why should I deny it? He was evil. I was instructed to slay him." And they're like, "What do you mean evil? He was the fairest lord out there." This one particular man says he was fair, kind, loyal. He had loyalty and all this and that. And he's like, Jay says, "Then you must be no better than he was." And this is where the men start to get mad. They draw their swords and they're like, Who told you to kill our lord?" And he's like, "Was it a rival lord that asked you to kill our master?" They say. And he's like, "No, it was God." And they're like, "God? Don't be ridiculous. How dare you blasphemy?" And we see Jay unfurl his spear that he has. He takes the cover off, and he's like, "Once, like you, I was cursed. The gods struck me with a fever, but when I recovered, I was blessed. They began speaking to me in my sleep. They tell me that to basically kill the evil ones and rid the world of evil, you know." And he uses this weapon of retribution, he says, which this guy is scary. He has white eyes. He's got a grin on him the whole time. He's got big, grown, overgrown, long fingernails. He's a very scary dude. And he says he will continue to do his duty for the gods. And they're kind of taken back, these men are. And they're like, "Well, you're mad. You don't know what you're talking about. The gods can't speak to you." And Jay says, he's like, "Ha ha ha. Who are you to judge the will of the gods?" And they basically go after him, and we don't actually see the fight, but we see them charging at him, and a crow flies off, and we just see Jay standing in the distance where our title scene is, which is Blade of the Gods. And we cut to, it's nighttime now. It is storming. Usagi is soaking wet. And he's like, "Oh, luckily I can get to this hut. There's this hut out here. Hopefully, somebody is there. Maybe I can beg them for a fire." And it is storming, lightning crackling in the background. It is very, probably a very scary time for Usagi. And he's like, "Open up! I'm a wayfarer seeker. I seek shelter." He's like, "Yeah, open up! It's cold out here." And Usagi is very, very worse for wear in this situation because uh, maybe he's not ready to brave the elements. He's trying to get out of the elements, obviously. You know, and the door opens, and who happens to show up? The person who we just spent the last couple of pages with, who killed all those men. And you get this very, very creepy scene of Jay opening up the door, and he's like, and Usagi kind of gasps, and he's like, "Oh, those eyes," And he's like, "Hey, can I come in?" I don't mean to like get in your way or like and anything like that, but can I stay tonight? And he's like, "Of course you can stay tonight." And this is where we find out his name is Jay. I just wanted to call him Jay because I didn't want to call him like mysterious man or something like that. And Usagi's like, "Brr, brr," Usagi is soaked to the bone. He's like, "Hey, my name is Miyamoto Usagi," and Jay's like, "You can call me Jay," and it's spelled Jei. And a funny thing about this, like it's pronounced J, and I think Stan Sakai even pronounces it J, but the way it's spelled makes you think it's a little different. But when you put an honorific on it, it's J San. So Jason, kind of, which we'll get to later on, because he very much is sort of a Jason esque figure when we get on later on into the Usagi series. Because I mean, spoilers, he comes back later on, uh, and he very much kills a lot of people, you know. But Usagi comes in, he's like, "Oh, part of my intrusion, into your home." And Jay is like, "This isn't my home. The owner was executed." And Usagi's like, "Executed? Then he was a criminal." And Jay says, "No, he was evil." As Jay is like cleaning the blood off of his spear. And Usagi is trying to get warm, and he happens to say, "Evil. I don't understand what exactly you're talking about." And Jay's like, don't mind me. I was just making conversation." And Usagi happens to remark about the black blade that Jay has, and uh, it catches Jay's attention. Like it's a really interesting, almost very standoffish. Like Usagi may or may not know something about this. He's like, "Oh, I was just no, it wasn't black." He says, "It must have been like a trick, when you were cleaning your spear. I know the blade is the soul of the samurai," he says. He means no offense to Usagi, and in that, or Usagi means no offense to Jay in this situation. But we get this interesting scene where Usagi is sitting next to the fire trying to get warm and trying to get warmth. And, Usagi is like, the fire is raging here, but it feels so freezing cold in here. And he asks Jay, "Do you notice anything?" And Jay's like, "I don't notice anything. I don't know. Maybe my inner fire is enough to keep me warm," he says. And Usagi's like, okay, whatever." But Usagi is next to the fire, and Jay is like off in a corner. Obviously, something is going on here where maybe Jay is affecting the temperature in the room. Maybe the gods are affecting the temperature in the room. Who knows exactly? Maybe Jay's evil presence is giving off such a strong aura that it's affecting like the area he is in and affecting Usagi in very much like a negative way. But Usagi happens to say, "Oh, what a very much a strange samurai," as Jay ends up going to sleep, and Usagi is putting some more wood on the fire itself. And so Jay happens to fall asleep finally, and Usagi is very much glad that Jay is sleeping as he's. I like this picture a lot of Usagi hovering or crouched over the fire that he is uh, next to. But he says, I'm glad Jay has fallen asleep because he would rather stand out in the rain than actually go and have another conversation with Jay because he is so much creeped out right now. His creep factor is up to 11 right now. Like, he does not want to be around him. His voice is creeping him out and stuff like that. Everything is creeping him out. Usagi is definitely uneasy and is on edge at this moment. He thinks it's funny and odd that he keeps adding stuff to the fire, but it doesn't take. The room is so chill and cold. Uh, and he's just really much thinking to himself in like, what kind of situation did Usagi get himself into? Because Usagi really can't hardly wait until morning so he can get out of the situation. He definitely does not want to be in it, and we see the storm is raging even further. And no, that's not Spot. I got a little confused. I don't. That's just a different Tokage in there. I thought that was Spot for a second, but then I remembered. Wait, Spot went off with Zatuino in the last issue, so Spot's no longer in Usagi's life at this moment. I got confused there for a little second. But we see them sleeping on separate ends. Usagi's next to the fire. Jay is next to the corner, obviously, and Jay starts to uh make these faces and like groan and he's like and he gets up and he's like, "You can't hide your true nature from the gods, Ronin." And he whips out his spear and starts to attack Usagi. And Usagi is very much taken off guard. And he's like, "Why? Why would you attack me?" And we get this really fucking cool, intense scene. Like, it's fucking intense. Uh, it's like, "Don't act innocent," Jay says. The gods have revealed your evil nature to me. If I kill you, uh, I'll be one step closer to joining them because we know he's going to eventually join them, I guess, when he rids the world of all the evil. You know, he's like, the gods join the gods. What are you talking about? Usagi says. He's like, Jay's like, "Oh, you can't confuse me, Ronin. The gods will, they'll look after me because I am a loyal subject." And we get this really cool fight between Jay and Usagi. Usagi is dodging Jay's spears in this room that they're in. And obviously, Usagi is at a somewhat disadvantage because Jay has the longer reach with his spear. And, Usagi's like, dude, he's crazy, like insane with his skill level is crazy, insane and advanced, and he pins Usagi to the wall with his sleeve. And you think that, Jay pretty much does have the upper hand, and he like pins Usagi's sleeve to the wall, and it get this really cool scene where they're basically kind of at a stalemate, to say the least. Usagi says, and Jay's like, "No, we're not at a stalemate," and he kicks Usagi through the wall. Usagi tumbles and crashes down into the open area where they're outside now, and it's the storm is still raging on, and Jay is like, he's got his spear raised over his head, uh, very much shrouded in shadow, and he's like, I have the advantage outside, which I thought he had the advantage inside because he was pretty much kicking ass at this time. And Usagi gets up and draws his sword. He's like, he's right, he does have the advantage. And we see like lightning crackling and they're fighting. Usagi's trying to dodge and you know basically try to survive this situation and not get cut. And Usagi's like, "Why are the gods?" So he's like, "Where are the gods when you need them now?" This is not a sleeping war. I am not a sleeping warrior. He's like, "This is not a sleeping warrior you face now," he says. And Usagi is fucking pissed off. He goes hardcore on Jay. And this scene is just so freaking like amazing. Like the way Stan Sakai draws Usagi and Jay fighting, and how intense he makes it with like everything coming into uh and just gelling together with the atmosphere, what actually is happening. It's just very intense and emotional. And we get this really intense scene where Usagi lunges at Jay and actually like gets Jay, like wounds him, like a fatal wound to him. And Usagi's like, "You, that was a fatal wound that I struck. You should be down. You should be bleeding out." And Jay's like, "I bleed, but I cannot be hurt. Never before I have never before been harmed," he says. And the gods have seemingly abandoned him at this moment. And he starts to wonder if this is actually some kind of test of faith for Jay. Jay says, if it's a test, I will just they will dispose of me, of my earthly shell. I will die and I will become one of the destined, he says. And Jay says, he will get that answer. He will get that answer of whether or not he is being tested after he executes Usagi. He he's like, "I will kill you and I will join the gods. Kill you, Ronin, I will kill you." And we see lightning strike, and they're in between like this tree. There's like a tree in between them, and lightning comes down, strikes the tree, splits it, and it pushes the force pushes back Usagi, or he jumps. I can't really exactly tell what is going on, and it just sees Usagi flying through the air. And Usagi is down. He gets back up and he's down, and he's like, you see Jay. He's like, "Ha ha ha! See the lightning? It was a sign from the gods, a sign from above. The heavens are protecting me," he says. And you will only have moments to live. And this is where Usagi basically says, "It's my karma to fight you, to die and fight you till my last breath." So Usagi is ready to die, uh, and in this situation, and we get this scene where Jay goes to land a fatal blow. He has his spear up in the air, and you see this crack, boom, and basically Jay gets fried alive by electricity, and he ends up well, let's just say the least. His spear gets left in the ground, and he pretty much disappears or becomes like a big giant pile of ash. And Usagi ends up waking up, and Usagi is we're very much relieved and surprised that he is alive. His head is pounding. He can't believe exactly what happened, and how has lightning basically struck the same place twice in one night. You know, he's surprised that Jay is gone. The lightning has completely destroyed him. He starts to wonder if he truly was an emissary of the gods, and did he actually really join them. And this is where it ends very open-endedly, where Jay's gone. Usagi doesn't know if what happened is kind of true. I mean, he does know it's true because there's just some remnants of what happened between him, the battle between him and Jay. But was Jay actually uh like a hand of the gods type of situation, right hand of the gods, we won't know. We don't know. So it's very much left open ended. Man, this issue was just as good as the last issue. Uh, Getting this new adversary, which, spoilers, we will see Jay later on in the series. I think he becomes a big part of the series, or some part of the series. Jay does come back, and we find more about Jay. But we are left with so many questions. I have so many questions because I haven't gotten to that part where Jay comes back yet. But I have so many questions that are unanswered. But I like that I have unanswered questions. It's going to continue me to want to read and learn more about what exactly is going on. Like, why is Jay an emissary of the gods? And why is he acting this way? Why his eyes all white? Why did he happen to come, and run into Usagi's path? Was he actually going after Usagi, or was this just a very much a happy coincidence this happened? This issue was filled with such intense action-packed situations. Like, it was very almost like a ghost story of some kind, like maybe like a yokai or something like that, ghost story that you could see happening. He very much questioned everything now within the universe of Usagi, because I don't think before this that I've read so far we haven't had any like magical gods or anything like that in this in this universe. Like, any I don't think any mention of any sorts of gods or anything like that, or maybe anybody with any like special kind of powers, because I feel like Jay might have some kind special kind of powers or something controlling Jay. But yeah, this was really good. I loved, which I said this before, I want to go back and reread this in its original form, which is the black and white. But man, the colors do pop in this. Like, the way they colored Stan Sakai's original artwork, like, there are scenes in this where I was like, man, that is just like the lighting and the shadowing on when they're fighting in the the house and outside. Like, it is very well done. All the little details you can see, all of the water running off the blades, running off Usagi and Jay, like, they're soaked to the bone. All those little details really truly like make this comic sing. Like, all the little details that you can see and you miss, like the Tokage, which I thought was Spot, but it's not Spot. But if it's Spot, please let me know. But I don't think it is. But yeah, so many unanswered questions, but this one was fucking amazing. And we're moving on to the next one after this is, if I remember correctly, it is an Usagi and Gin episode, which will be next, will be called the Teacup, which you have that to look forward to, because Ginsuki is or is Ginsuki is always a really fun character to show up when Usagi, because he hasn't shown up since the very first samurai story, was when Ginsuki showed up the last time, I believe. I think, I can't remember, but we'll go on to that. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can email me at usagipod, or if you have any recommendations, at usagipod@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook on Usagi Podjimbo. And yeah, let's chat some Usagi Yojimbo. Let's get this going. Thanks for listening. If you want to help out the podcast, share the podcast, tell your friends, rate and review on your whatever podcast platform you choose to review on, and it does actually help people find this podcast. Thank you for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out. Oh, and make sure to check out my other podcast called Utakuology, where I talk about anime and manga. So we'll catch you guys later. Peace out, and go read some Usagi Yojimbo. See you guys next time.